The summer is almost here, and that is big news for Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs, who plan to host a number of different top targets in the 2023 class on official visits in the month of June. They have 8 hard commitments right now in the 23 class, and I expect that number to grow in a big way this summer. They're going to have a ton of guys on campus in early June, mid-June, and late June, so a lot going on. But the big question right now is who could be next to jump on board and commit to the Georgia Bulldogs in the 23 class. I've got a number of guys in mind, guys who are wrapping up their visits in June, hope to make a decision by the time the summer ends before their senior season. This is something we see a lot of each and every year. And there's a few candidates. First guy I want to talk about, of course, is Peale, 3-star defensive back out of Charlotte. Listen, if you don't have length, if you don't have speed, if you don't have size, you're not going to play defensive back at the University of Georgia, and that's what he brings to the table. He's not the tallest guy. He's about 6 foot, about 175 pounds, but he does have length, and the kid can absolutely run. And just a 3-star prospect. He does have an offer from Georgia that he earned in late March. He's going to be taking his official visit to Georgia in the month of June. Is going to be June 3rd. That's when he'll be in town. And a lot of noise, a lot of chatter about Georgia leading in his recruitment. After that official visit in just a couple of weeks, really, I think there's a good chance he could jump on board and be Georgia's next commitment. We've seen what they've been able to do to develop defensive backs. They took a ton in the 22 class, 6 if you count Marcus Washington Jr., who reclassified earlier this week. But Peale, a guy that I think is very high on Georgia's board at defensive back. A guy they're probably going to have to just beat out Auburn for. So definitely a guy to keep an eye on. Again, they liked him enough to offer him in late March. They're going to host him for an official visit the first weekend of June. And I think he can make a decision shortly after that. Now, another guy who has a commitment date set already. It's actually July 9th, so it might be a little bit there. But CJ Allen out of Lamar County in Middle Georgia, one of my favorite players in the country. 2-way guy, rushed for 1,000 yards last year, made over 90 tackles, 3 interceptions on defense. 6'1", 220, was really impressive at the Under Armour camp in Atlanta back in February. He is high on Georgia's board. I've been told I think he's a top 10 player in the state. He's going to be taking his official visit that June 3rd weekend as well. So they're going to have a lot of guys on campus that first week of June. It's going to be a big deal, and that's where the Georgia staff does their best, in front of players, in front of their parents on campus. And I think they could really close the deal with CJ Allen, who's still going to take a few more official visits. Forgot exactly where that he's going to be in Athens that first weekend of June. If they blow him away, I think they will obviously be the team to beat for the remaining month or so before his commitment. I like where Georgia sits right now, and I think I'm going to like their chances even more after that official visit. So he's an in-state linebacker to keep an eye on. Staying on the defensive side of the ball, Jamal Jarrett. If you've been watching these videos, you know all about him right now. Massive 6'4", about 330-pound interior defensive lineman that I was able to see at that Under Armour camp in Atlanta back in February. He's always been high on Georgia. Loves Trey Scott, who has North Carolina roots. Jordan Davis, a 3-star they got out of North Carolina just a few years ago, turned him into a first-round pick. And Jamal Jarrett told me that that's where they see him, that interior defensive lineman, opening up opportunities for the linebackers to make plays behind him, eating up blocks, clogging the run lane. That's what he can do. And he can get after the passer as well. So I think he is high on Georgia's board. And I think if he were to make a commitment soon, it would be to Georgia. I like where they've sat with him for a long time. And again, they could probably close the door with him on his recruitment the following weekend. He'll be taking his official visit the weekend of June 10th. Like where Georgia sits right now, and I feel like they are the team to beat in his recruitment. So he's definitely another guy to watch. And then Justice Haynes, I think he's going to make a decision this summer. Blessed Trinity running back who will now play at Buford this fall. Best running back in the state of Georgia, in my opinion, in the last 2 years. Rushed for almost 2,400 yards last year. Touchdown after touchdown. The guy just could not be stopped. Major Georgia target. You know about his story, right? A Georgia legacy. His father played for the Bulldogs in the late 90s and early 2000s. He's a guy that Del McGee has been recruiting for a long time now. And I think he's the running back they're probably pushing the hardest for right now. Richard Young, 5-star from Florida. Ruben Owens, 5-star from Texas, still in the mix. If you're Del McGee, you'd love to take 2 out of 3 of those guys if you can. That'd be a grand slam. But getting Justice Haynes on board is a priority. best running back in the state, Georgia legacy. Again, the list goes on and on. He's been as productive as you could be at the high school level the last 2 years. He's taken his official visit to Georgia first weekend of June. I think he also has official visits set up to Alabama, USC, and Ohio State. So it's still going to be a little bit of a fight, but I think it would surprise me if he were to sign elsewhere. So if he likes what he sees out of Georgia, maybe a silent commitment could happen, but I think he's going to take the rest of his officials before making a decision. So it might not be in June, but he's definitely a guy to keep a close eye on. And then, of course, you want me to talk about him, right? Arch Manning, 5-star quarterback. He's got to make a decision, I think, soon. I think official visits are still up in the air. Maybe he doesn't take them, but I think he is trying to get a decision done in June or July. I don't think he's going to drag this out in the spring. A few schools still in the mix. I think Alabama still trying to fight their way in. He took an unofficial visit to Virginia not too long ago to check them out. I don't think the Cavaliers are a real threat, but he took the time to go visit. I think Florida's trying to get in the mix, but at the end of the day, I think this is going to be a Georgia-Texas battle for the #1 player in the country. Biggest name out there, right? He's a Manning. We know what his family has done, and he's a big deal. He's the #1 player in the country because of how he plays, not because of his last name, even though that does help. Of course, he was in Athens for a home game at night last year when Georgia beat South Carolina. He was in Athens earlier this year. So he's familiar with Kirby Smart, Todd Monken, the Georgia program, knows its, winning culture, and just saw them, pump out 15 guys in the last NFL draft. So I like where Georgia sits right now. I think people close to the Georgia program really like where Georgia sits with Arch Manning. They feel confident, but there are a lot of people who think Texas could be the team to beat. And I think he could do some really big things at Texas. NIL, he could make a whole lot of money. Probably either, no matter where he goes, he could do really well there at Georgia. But easy to see why Texas, a major program who needs a guy like him to get to the next level, they're pitching him hard. So at the end of the day, Georgia and Texas are the teams I think are still in front for Arch Manning. I think a decision is going to come rather soon. Maybe June, maybe July, but I'm not sure it goes into August or September. So I think he wants to get this done soon. It could be any day now, I think. So if he's ready, he could pop, and I think he could pop and make a commitment sometime in June. That would not surprise me at all. So definitely a guy to keep an eye on. Of course, we have the latest and greatest on Arch Manning and the rest, everything related to UGA football and recruiting over on DAWGSTRUCTION. So those are 5 guys that I have in mind as the next to commit to Georgia in the 2023 class. What do you think? Leave a comment, and of course, join the conversation over on DAWGSTRUCTION. We'd love to see you over there. Thanks for watching this video. As always, stay tuned to the next one coming up right now, and I'll see you over on DAWGSTRUCTION.